Okay, hear me out. This thing you're watching, the video with the guy molesting the pineapple, yeah, this is art. So I know that the term art has lost all of its meaning in a post-Duchamp era, but damn it, I will put my foot down and say that if Ephemeral Rift's work isn't art, then just there is no such thing as art. This guy's work is utterly fantastic, and I'm not saying that just because I am a talking pineapple, and I mean he clearly has an appreciation for pineapples, but damn it, his work is awesome, and I am gonna damn well prove it in this video. Alright, let's start things off by explaining exactly what this guy's doing, just in case you guys don't know what ASMR is. So what you just watched is a snippet from binaural ASMR pineapple relaxation, one of the most popular videos from the YouTube channel Ephemeral Rift. Ephemeral Rift creates ASMR videos, which is a type of content typically dedicated to some combination of these three objectives. 1. Relaxing the viewer. 2. Helping the viewer fall asleep. Or 3. Triggering the viewer's autonomous sensory meridian response, or their ASMR. ASMR is often described as a cool tingling sensation resembling goosebumps. ASMR is very niche in terms of content, and I'm aware that even getting people to give these videos a try is enough of a challenge, let alone actually getting them to think of these types of videos as an art form. Many have ripped on ASMR for being weird or creepy, which is kind of funny honestly, because most of these critics haven't even seen the weirdest stuff that ASMR has to offer. For example, here's a video of a guy laughing at a woman for softly whispering into a microphone, to help people relax. Dude, this is so weird. This woman's trying to help people manage their stress, particularly those who suffer from depression, PTSD, and chronic anxiety disorders. So funny. I'm not trying to insinuate that these people are narrow-minded in any way. Oh, okay, maybe I am just a teeny tiny little bit. But what I'm really trying to set up here is how challenging it can be just to get people to sit down and watch ASMR, let alone take it seriously. Now, luckily for me, there just so happens to exist a case study that perfectly demonstrates just exactly how these types of videos can be artistic. So remember those 3 goals that most ASMR videos typically focus on? Well, Ephemeral Rift? That's the weird pineapple guy from the start? Yeah, well, he uses those objectives to create an artistic experience that can only be achieved exclusively through the specific medium of an ASMR video. Even if you have zero respect for ASMR at the moment, I hope that once you're done here, you'll see it in a completely new light. Alright, with that in mind, let's do this. Part 1. Happy Accidents. Okay, so there are generally 2 main styles of ASMR video. You've got improvised sound videos and role plays. Improvised videos tend to take a laundry list of objects and kind of just throw them around. There isn't really much interaction with the viewer aside from maybe a little bit of small talk or banter, so you definitely don't need a script for it. Roleplay videos, on the other hand, vary tremendously in quality and involve the video maker taking on some sort of role. Yeah, I know, right? Roleplay videos involve people role-playing in them. You learned a new thing today! I swear this gets educational at some point. Okay, so in the case of the video snippet you're seeing here, creator GB ASMR is role-playing as a doctor partaking in a cranial nerve exam, which is probably the most popular type of roleplay that you'll see in the community. You can also have some variants on this formula, sometimes putting the viewer in situations where they are in a calm and comfortable situation while being pampered or given personal attention. Other times they get to experience something completely new that they wouldn't normally, like a gourmet donut tasting. Either way, these are supposed to be exceptionally relaxing, and you, as the viewer, get to partake in the roleplay experience. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the first video in our case study, which is Face Painting by Batman, in which an economically downtrodden, unemployed Batman attempts to sell you a discount face painting. Yes, this is actually a thing, and I love that it exists, and it makes me really happy to watch. So here, Batman lists out all of the things that he can paint for you, including, but not limited to, superheroes, food items, Gumby. He can paint you to look like Gumby, it's so stupid. Okay, here's the crazy thing though. The entire length of this video, for almost an hour, it's entirely improvised. You see, it's easy to improvise an ASMR video when all you're doing is tapping on objects and randomly ranting, but Rift is doing something different here. He's improvising while role-playing, which is really hard to do if you aren't role-playing something a little more traditional. Improvising dialogue for a doctor isn't that hard because everyone has been to see a doctor, but homeless Batman? That might require a bit more imagination. So here's a neat question. Who is Batman in this video? Like, what is his character? Rift has set up this absurdist premise, and now he kinda has to roll with it. Why is Batman selling face paintings? Has he lost his love for fighting crime? Is there no crime left to fight? No. Rift decides that the best way to go about this is to create an economically downtrodden character who really needs to find a buck. This creates a character who still takes himself very seriously, yet is willing to do anything to keep his clients, no matter how absurd the situation ends up. In this first video featuring the character, we see that Batman is summoned by Commissioner Gordon to help arrest the Joker, but Batman is too busy painting your face to come and help. Someone also gets robbed in the same video, but again, Batman is too focused on you to really do anything about it. Not only is this freaking hilarious, but it gives you a deeper understanding of the character in question. You see, the improvisational nature of the medium has contributed to some form of characterization. Some fancy folks called structuralists, and never heard of them, theorize that, well, narrative, when broken down into its simplest form, is created through character, setting, and plot. And they theorize that anything that the medium does to contribute to any of these three factors contributes to the narrative as a whole. We'll deal with setting later, but when you have an improvised situation, the plot and characters become highly unstable and contingent, allowing for a more free-form stream of consciousness construction of the art itself. The best example of this improvisational effect in practice can be seen with the Sandwich Man. In Tinfoil Hat Society, New Member Welcome, Part 3. Jesus, I just never get bored of these titles. We're keeping this in. We're keeping this whole thing in where I break down. Alright, so in Tinfoil Hat Society, New Member Welcome Part 3, the leader of the official Tinfoil Hat Society... the real leader of the Tinfoil Hat Society, teaches you the various uses and methods for the implementation of tinfoil to protect you from the nefarious organizations, such as the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and of course the atheists? Okay. Anyway, during this video, this happens.
Here I have a sandwich. Okay? Alright. Do you like sandwiches? I love sandwiches. 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 Sandwich. Sandwich.
What the hell just happened? It looks like this guy just had some sort of brain aneurysm, right? Well, that's because Rift over here is doing this all in one take. And when you're making at least one video a week, and those long videos are sometimes hours long, you're going to have odd moments if you aren't working with a script. Here, Rift was trying to say the word sandwich, but he kept accidentally saying sandwich instead. So okay, whatever, this guy messed up. Big deal, right? Well, dear viewer, here is where Rift's creative side really shines through. So you see, this video over here features a guy who's teaching people the philosophy of sandwich making. Sandwich making. It dives into how one does not simply choose the sandwich. The sandwich chooses you. This sandwich video's very premise is entirely derived from a mistake that Rift made in a video a few months prior when he noticed that he kept saying sandwich instead of sandwich. What's awesome about this is that you as the viewer get to witness the very basis on which this character is created. In real time. This gives you a special connection to the character every time you get to see him or anything related to him. You got to see what inspired this very character's creation. This one mistake expands into dozens of other micro-fractures that end up spanning the entirety of Rift's catalog. For example, the Sandwich Man has a brother named the Candy Man, who sells candy illegally because it's been outlawed. He also has another brother named the Nut Man, who, well, he kinda just sells nuts, but there's also the Nothing Man, who sells nothing. By the way, this video lasts an hour. It is an hour of the Nothing Man selling you nothing, and somehow he remains entertaining. God almighty, I wish I was that talented. The point here is that you get to see Rift's creative process unfold before your very eyes. There's a meta behind the experience of watching one of his videos that just can't be found in other mediums. These characters could only have been created using the format of an improvised roleplay video. It's no wonder that Rift has often expressed his love for Bob Ross, who clearly acts as the philosophical foundation for this style of video making. The two both follow the mantra of building around the mistakes that you make instead of trying to delete them entirely.
You know, over and over again I say, we don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents.
Think about it this way. Have you ever been to an improv comedy show? Like, when you really think about it, improv shows will never be as good as traditional stand-up in terms of content. Stand-up comedians usually have time to actually write their jokes, so they're gonna be funnier that way. Why do people watch improv shows then? Because there's a certain artistic value that comes from not only perceiving a work of art, but also experiencing art as it is being conceived. There's something impressive about seeing a world built from scratch right before your very eyes, through the sheer force of wit and creativity. Rift uses his video formats to accomplish the exact same thing. You get to see a character being created right in front of you. It's the difference between getting served a great meal versus watching someone labor to create that meal right in front of you and then getting to indulge in it. Part 2. Parasocial Relationships. You may have heard this term being thrown around the YouTube video essay sphere, but just in case, a parasocial relationship is basically just a one-sided relationship. In the era of YouTube, understanding parasocial relationships, my god, that word is hard to say. Say parasocial, psychosocial, okay. In the era of YouTube, understanding parasocial relationships is now more important than ever because YouTube content creators can be perceived as being even closer to their audiences, even more so than traditional media like television. YouTubers have the means to communicate with their viewers more directly, so it can feel like someone is directly talking to you, even if they aren't. Let's take a small example, shall we? You know whenever PewDiePie does his bro fist at the screen? If you were to ever bro fist him back... Bro fist him back sounds like a freaking sex act. If you were to bro fist Felix back, then you'd be expressing a sentiment of camaraderie toward him. You feel like you want to give him a brotherly or sisterly fist bump back when he expresses the sentiment back to you. But on Felix's end, he's just throwing his fist at a screen, at no one in particular. You specifically are not the targeted recipient of the bro fist. He's gesturing toward the entirety of his community on one end, but on your end, it feels like he's talking to you. Here's the funny thing about parasocial relationships, though. ASMR videos in particular encourage this type of relationship from the viewer even more so than normal YouTube videos. This might seem a little odd if you aren't used to ASMR videos, but one of their main appeals is that they often feature role plays that involve personal attention. And this isn't me overanalyzing this here, this is one of the selling points of these types of videos. So as we see here, personal attention, hey look, personal attention, more personal attention, hey, it's almost like there's a trend here. Yeah, you can find literally hundreds of these, they are everywhere. So now we get it. Parasocial relationships are a necessity in role-playing ASMR videos. Now let's see how Ephemeral Rift plays with this one-sided dynamic. A great example of this is in one of his more recent videos, titled Top Secret Password Creation Service, where Rift is responsible for finding you a new password for your computer. The premise itself falls in line with the absurdist premises that we've seen from Ephemeral Rift so far, as having someone find a password for you is obviously very silly. But it's what Rift does with this premise that makes the video truly worth analyzing. So here's the thing, Rift sits there for 45 minutes trying to find you a password, and every time he comes up with one, you shut him down. This guy sits there for almost an hour, misses his lunch break, battles frustration while trying to be cordial, all because you, the viewer, are never satisfied with any of the passwords that he comes up with. You know this because he constantly goes, "Oh, you didn't like that password? What didn't you like? Oh, the 44? Okay, let's try a different one. Oh, you didn't like the ampersand or the hashtag? Oh, I'll try another one." And it goes on like this for an hour. The reason that this is so funny isn't just because of the premise itself, but because you as the viewer are forced to embody the perspective of someone who is partaking in the absurdist behavior itself. You are effectively laughing at yourself being a douche. ASMR is interesting artistically because your relationship with the person in front of you is often necessitated by dialogue, so one-sided dialogue becomes the end result. However, when you play around with that limitation, you can have some really fascinating and hilarious results because the person on the other end is essentially writing the dialogue for you, meaning that you can behave in any way that they want you to behave. Part 2.5. Personal time. Rift also circumvents the limitations of the medium by actually moving beyond a parasocial relationship into an actually personal one. This part of the video gets a little personal, but it's honestly the best way to explain what I mean by this. You see, back when Ephemeral Rift had very few subs, the man went above and beyond in an attempt to interact with his fans in the comments section. I'd never seen someone genuinely open up a dialogue with people who were interested in his videos. He would legitimately respond to like every single comment. He would go back to videos that were a year old and someone would post a comment saying, "Hey, congratulations, and thank you so much for helping me." And he would go back and reply. The reason that I'd get to see this is because obviously you can go back to old videos to enjoy them going to sleep, and you can go in those comment sections to this day and see how many times he would react to people. And honestly, it's something spectacular. I don't think I've ever seen a YouTuber go this far out of the way to really interact with their fans, and it's truly spectacular. I had my own brief interactions with the man in the comment section, and interestingly enough, while I was starstruck at first, I eventually kind of felt sad. I knew that Rift really wanted to reach out to all of his viewers in some way, but I knew that he wouldn't be able to do it for much longer. You see, he eventually started gaining subscribers really quickly, and when he was about to hit 100k, you can only reply to each and every comment for so long. Eventually you have to stop. Years passed, and surely enough, I was right. Rift pretty much had to give up on interacting with the comment section entirely. From my perspective, the desire to move beyond the medium's parasocial barrier was sweet and thoughtful, but ultimately overly ambitious and futile. That's what I believed, at least, until this happened. On July 24th, 2018, Ephemeral Rift uploaded a video titled "Guessing Your Name #1." The video's content was exactly what it sounds like. Rift spends an hour trying to guess your name, you, the individual watching the video. What exactly was he doing? Why was he doing this? This video had the same level of acerbic wit to it and was very self-aware. It clearly nodded at its own absurd premise, but I had this weird feeling, like somehow an arm was being stretched out to me in a way that I'd never felt on the internet. It kinda reminded me of the old days, back when he would actually reply to people. And when I mean reply to people, I cannot emphasize this enough. I mean almost everyone. I wondered if somehow, just maybe, this man had found a way to do what he wanted, to show me, specifically, that he was thinking of me. I actually make it a bit of a habit to watch most of Rift's videos, but I went back through his old catalog just in case I'd missed something. Now, this might all sound a little weird and maybe even stalkerish. I mean, I've never met this man, and I don't even know how he would interact with me or how I would interact with him if we met in real life. The curiosity within me was more like someone trying to watch Twitch get through Pokemon. Twitch Plays Pokemon was this weird little interesting experiment where basically a whole community of people tried to get through the game of Pokemon together, but basically all of their inputs were registered at the same time, making the game a complete... I don't even know how to describe it. Let's just say it's an interesting watching your character run around the same patch of grass for an hour. The goal of taking part in that experiment wasn't to be the one to land the button that struck down Lance's Dragonite, though. You were there to see something that shouldn't technically be possible, and hopefully watching it happen anyway. I didn't want Rift to interact with me for a personal reason. At least I don't think I did. I wanted him to interact with me just to show me that he could. In a world of shallow community interactions, was it possible for Rift to come up with something more? As I scrolled through his old archive of videos, I learned that he already had.
Hey, I need to run to the supermarket to pick up some luncheon meats for lunch. Do you want me to grab you anything while I'm there?
On June 3rd, 2017, almost a year before the names video, Rift uploaded that short video to his channel. On the day that the video was uploaded, almost instinctively, I asked for matzos in the comment section. Some people asked for a life, a tank, a bunch of ridiculous stuff, but I had the strange urge for matzos that day, and by complete chance I decided to write it down as a comment. As it turns out, 2 days later, while I was away on a trip to a cabin with some friends, Rift uploaded this follow-up video called Supermarket Haul for You, where this happened.
The next little session, little visit of ours, we'll have some of that with some of this that you also wanted. I'm putting this down here for you. You also wanted some matzos, right? Yeah.
I won't lie. When I saw this, I teared up. The man went out of his way to find some of us the things that we had requested, and he actually did it. All of those 100,000 names that he was trying to guess, the store-bought provolone in Turkey, and those bloody matzos, they were his small way of saying, "Hey, I thought about you today." And despite all of the barriers in the way, Rift still managed to find a way to say that, to me, and several others directly. I wonder how many people had the same experience as me. I wonder it sometimes and just think, gee, was I one of the few lucky ones? But no, I think, honestly, based on how many names he'd guessed and how many things he'd bought for people, there's a good chance he hit a good amount of his audience. The reason for my elation is a simple one. For a brief moment, the person on the other side of the screen acknowledged that I exist, and it made me feel very human, which is weird, I know, because I'm a talking pineapple, so I guess that kind of kills the whole joke there then, doesn't it? I hope this all comes together to show you that Rift is very aware of the typical limitations of the types of relationships that you can have with online creators, but he subverts those expectations by going above and beyond what is typically expected of community interaction. Rift isn't trying to interact with his community, he's trying to interact with you. Part 3. Rift World. I think that if there was one segment to take out of this video essay, it would be this third part. Let's talk about Rift World and how awesome it is as a concept. I know that you can technically find ASMR channels that have some of their videos sharing a connected universe, but Ephemeral Rift is the first one to do so consistently and on such a wide scale. Essentially, anytime you see a new character being presented on the channel, you can pretty safely assume that the character will in some way be interacting with other previous characters. Though there were always little hints in Rift's older videos that some of the characters might know one another, with stuff like the Tinfoil Hat Man mentioning Professor Clemens, for example. The first time Rift decided to really stretch out the crossover potential of his characters was with a set of videos under the label The Peculiar Plastic Pouch Predicament, in which you, the viewer, meet up with a bunch of Rift's characters so that they can help you remove a plastic bag that has been chemically infused to your head. There are like 14 videos of this, by the way, and to this day, I don't think the issue of getting the bag off my head has technically been resolved as of posting this video. Certain other ASMR tubers have followed suit with channels such as Goodnight Moon with her Babblebrook In series, which are just so fantastic and amazing that I have literally integrated some of her work into tabletop games that I've created. Thank you so much for what you do, Moon, you are fantastic. You've also got folks like Dr. T ASMR, who sort of have this vague sense of a connected universe, with Tinglebottom Industries and such, though it's definitely less story-driven. I'd be very surprised if both of the aforementioned creators had never heard of Rift before creating their own expanded universes. And that isn't to take away anything at all from them. It just goes to show how influential Rift's style has been in really pushing this medium's storytelling capabilities. While Rift World's influences are vast, I'm here to talk a bit more about what makes it artistically distinct from other types of storytelling. Remember when I said ASMR is there to help people relax? Well, what are some settings that you might associate with relaxation? A resort? A distant mountaintop, maybe? Perhaps a cozy inn or a tea shop? Well, Rift's chosen location for Rift World is a dystopian post-apocalyptic wasteland where a shadowy world government has a tight grip on what you can and can't do, what can and can't be enjoyed, and where people are forced to venture underground to have any access to art or enjoyment. Ha 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 ha! Yeah, the kooky guy who dresses up like Batman and massages pineapples has his extended universe take place in what is ostensibly the least relaxing or comedic place one could imagine. What's worse is that if you keep tabs on Rift's uploads, you can find yourself frequenting such beautiful sites as a sanatorium, an underground sandwich dealer man. The Nut Man. Why is there a Nut Man? A post-apocalyptic sanatorium doesn't exactly scream relaxation as much as it screams the location for the next Resident Evil game. But here's why I really wanted to make this video, though. Rift's apocalypse videos are, bizarrely enough, the most calming in the history of all of his creative output. Back when I started watching Rift's videos, I never really even questioned why this setting, a post-apocalyptic wasteland, worked so well as a relaxant for me and hundreds of thousands of others. But then something dawned on me, and here's where a personal part comes in. Part 3.5, The Horror Within. I first started watching Rift's videos because I was having a hard time sleeping. Going to sleep has always been tough for me, but it really became a struggle when I started university. It should be noted before I dig into this that there is a massive difference between occasionally experiencing feelings of anxiety versus having debilitating anxiety that prevents you from associating yourself with others. I did a lot of really stupid and unproductive stuff in an attempt to cope with these feelings, which only ended up leading to feelings of regret later on in the long run. I don't want to hyperbolize or exaggerate the effect that Rift's videos had on me. I had to dig myself out of the trenches of self-destruction, and I'll proudly give credit to those in my personal life who helped me through those hard times. But I'd be remiss to exclude Rift's videos from this process entirely. You see, when you suffer from severe anxiety, it feels like the world has burned down around you. Everyone and everything becomes a potential threat, and nothing feels safe. It is, in short, a really, really shitty way to live. Despite being extroverted, I would oftentimes go out of my way not to spend time with people I cared about most because I was afraid. Afraid of this vague sense of dread that, despite my not being able to explain or rationalize it, nonetheless kept me at bay, while boundless oceans of opportunity lay just outside of my reach. Things can feel completely lonely and empty when you have chronic anxiety. They can feel like you're in a wasteland. To say that Rift's world is an allegory for anxiety disorders and depression would be far too reductive, but there's clearly been some thought put into artistically presenting feelings that one goes through when experiencing these illnesses. Rift himself doesn't shy away from talking about mental health or his own experiences with depression and suicidal thoughts. They're clear influences on his work. For me, there has always been an odd solace that comes from watching Rift's videos, though. And it was initially beyond ironic that the most peaceful part of my college days would be spent pretending to be stuck in an insane asylum, inhabiting a scorching wasteland. But here's the thing, Rift isn't trying to relax you with these videos so much as he is trying to let you know that it's okay not to feel relaxed. The wasteland is a place where you have no choice but to acknowledge that your world is a mess, but that doesn't mean that there aren't things that you can get out of it. There are quirky, creative characters around every corner who may look scary and outright disturbing on the surface. But if you can give them a chance, if you can find comfort in all the chaos, then there's a true level of enjoyment to be had with these characters. Rift's Wasteland is there to show you that even in the worst possible place imaginable, not everyone is out to get you. Part 4. It's okay to be afraid. Be it through the hilarity of his comedic videos, the improvisational methods to character creation that he brings forward, his circumvention of parasocial dynamics, or his deep understanding of mental illness, Ephemeral Rift brings something special and unique with each video that he uploads. For me, Rift has always represented the good that storytelling can achieve. And though his medium is unconventional, the artistic value that he's been able to extract from it is truly deserving of more praise. Because when this spinning rock and its seemingly fatal inertia takes its toll on you, when you look around and feel so alone and isolated, Rift is there every single week to let you know that you are never alone in the sanitarium and that it's okay to be afraid.
It's me, you know, Cthulhu. Don't be afraid, okay?
finally did it, gang. Wait, did we finally do it? Yes. Oh, we finally did it, gang. We're done. First video done. Hooah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was a labor of love. I've wanted to make this video for a very long time, and yeah, it's done. I just can't believe I'm saying those words. This channel is dedicated to just analyzing a bunch of weird stuff. I love just breaking apart weird things that people don't think to analyze and seeing what I can make of that. And I hope I can be educational / entertaining for some of you guys. I want to upload 2 times a month for a year and then see what happens from there. That's my goal for this channel. I just want to see if I can make 24 videos in a year. If you want to see what else I've got, you should hit that subscribe button and maybe hit the bell, because you won't be notified like every 2 seconds, because I only upload twice a month. I've got a video on the Smash Brothers documentary directed by Samox, and I've got one on RuPaul's Drag Race coming up, so be prepared. If you notice that the background is a little weird and is like this weird library thing, yeah, that's because I don't know what the heck to put as the background. So what we're gonna do is, you can actually vote for what is gonna be in the background in the comment section, and the highest voted answer will be what I use for the next video. Yes, it can be anything. It can be weird, it can be random, it can be something you really like, just really anything you want, and I will end up choosing it. Who knows, maybe I will change this format later on. Maybe I'll make it like a Patreon reward where you can like vote for what you want as the background or something. I don't know, maybe I'll figure something out for that. But for now, it is free to vote. Just vote in the comments below. I figured another thing that I would do with this channel is that at the very end of my videos, I would end by making 2 YouTuber recommendations. So just channels that I either really admire or really think could use a little extra boost just in terms of popularity. So yeah, these are my 2 recommendations for this video. So my first recommendation is a very popular channel called LAKEY. But just in case you haven't heard of him, gosh darn it, you need to check this guy out. Like, he is so ridiculously talented and hilarious, and just has this really interesting blend of humor and education, while also just bringing this charm to the table that I haven't really seen anyone do since like Ego Raptor. And I don't know, I think he's really special, and if you haven't seen him yet, like, absolutely check him out. Another channel you absolutely need to check out if you're into video essays is called Houston Productions. I was watching a Houston Productions video on Hugh Jackman, no, it was The Greatest Showman, that's the one. The Greatest Showman, and I don't even know, I haven't even seen The Greatest Showman, is what's weird. And I was watching this video and I finished it, and it was at that moment that I decided I wanted to finally start a YouTube channel. Really, something about that video just resonated with me, and I said, I want to be able to do for other people what this video did for me. It was just such a weird and enlightening video, and I think you should check him out because I think he's really talented and he deserves way more attention than he's got right now. So that's it. I've rambled long enough. I've tried to re-record this outro many times, so finally I got it down to like 3 minutes, hopefully. Take care, goodbye! Wow, it's still too long!